of chemical combination. Now, what is meant by laws of chemical combination? Any chemical reaction, in order to occur, it has to follow certain rules. It has to follow certain rule. For example, simple cases, if I am talking about a chemical reaction of cooking food in your house, your mother puts some rice and water in the cooker. There must be a specific ratio for the rice to water. If the water is too much, then your rice will be totally becoming into a porridge, and if the water is too less, it will get burnt. So everywhere there is proportion, everywhere there are certain ratios, and any chemical reaction to occur, these laws should be followed, otherwise the chemical reaction will not be fruitful. So out of all these, there are totally 5 laws. Out of the 5 basic laws, the first law is called as law of conservation of mass. So already you know that matter matlab solid, liquid or gaseous, they can never be created nor be destroyed. They will be only changing from one form to another. So that is called as the law of conservation. That is a main just behind the conservation of mass. So now this Antoine Lavoisier, he only stated the law of conservation of mass, where he said that mass can never be destroyed, or because you know that mass can be converted to energy also, mass cannot be destroyed. Whenever a chemical reaction happen, the reactant and the product, their masses will always be equal. If I have to write you and show to you, then I can express the law of conservation of mass like this. For example, say let us take the example of carbon combining with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. Carbon combining with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. So simple combustion. So here, this side, this is my arrow mark which shows that these are the combining elements and this is the combination form or a compound. So this side of my arrow mark or my left hand side are called the reactant, and these are called as the products. So this reactant mass should be equal to product mass, and if you observe in all chemical reaction, the total mass of the reactants will be equal to the total mass of the products only. So now what is the mass of carbon? 12U, unified mass. This you will be learning in the previous pages. And oxygen, one atom is 16, so two atoms form a molecule. 16 into 2, 32U. So totally 44U. Here again 44U, because 12 plus 16 plus 16, 44. So the mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product. Otherwise I can say no mass is lost or no mass is gained. Hence this is called as the law of conservation of mass. Mass is not destroyed, mass is not gained, it's just conserved. Now in this reactant side, this is in the form of elements. In the product side is becoming a compound. That is the only difference. Suppose if I take about water, formation of water. How is water formed? Water is formed from hydrogen and oxygen. If I simply write H plus O, it won't make any meaning because the atomicity of elements have to be followed. So what is atomicity of hydrogen? 2 atoms make a molecule, so 2. Oxygen, 2 atoms make a molecule, 2. And now coming to formula of water. Formula how to write, you have already learned in your 9th standard. If in case you are not comfortable with that, you are not following, kindly text me in the comment section. I will post a video for how the compounds are formed and how the formula of compounds is written. So now what is the formula of water? Water formula is H2O. Otherwise, I can say one molecule of water has 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. But before I go to explain my law of conservation of mass, first thing is I have to balance this, because without balancing, a chemical reaction is never complete. After balancing, now what is balancing? The number of atoms of the reacting elements in this reactant side and the product side both should be same. Suppose hydrogen here is 2, then here also 2. Oxygen here 2 atoms, here 2 atoms should be there. But I see only 1 atom is here. So how can I change it? Okay, 2. Can I put a 2 here? No. I cannot put a 2 here, because if I put a 2 here, it no more remains water. It will become hydrogen peroxide. So I cannot alter the formula. However, I can play with the number of molecule. So let me put a 2 here. So now oxygen is 2, this side 2 atoms, here 2 atoms. Now the problem comes with hydrogen. 2 into 2, 4 atoms. Here only 2 atoms. Let me put a 2 here. Now this is the balanced equation. So hydrogen, 4 atoms this side. Hydrogen, 4 atoms this side. Oxygen, 2 atoms this side. Oxygen, 2 atoms this side. Now this is a balanced chemical equation. Now let us see the law of conservation of mass here. Hydrogen, the mass of one atom of hydrogen is 1. We take it as, though it's 1.0086, we take it as 1. So here totally 4 atoms, so 4U for hydrogen. Oxygen, one molecule, already we saw one molecule is 32, so plus 32U, totally 36U. Here 4 atoms of hydrogen, 4 plus 2, 32, 36U. So mass of the reactant is equal to mass of the product. Hence this equation obeys the law of conservation of mass. Simply if I write H2 plus O2 gives H2O, for this equation I cannot explain the law of conservation of mass because it is not a balanced chemical equation. So this is the first law which states that matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. If you see the statement here, it's very simple. Measurement of mass of the reactant and product is always the same, exact. Before and after a chemical reaction, both the sides and mass remains same. Thank you. Stay tuned. I will give the explanation of the other 4 laws in the next forthcoming videos. Thank you. Happy learning.